Everybody knew about it, Kyle. Everybody was talking about it. That on average, a person eats 8 spiders a year. Do you remember when that fun fact was going around? Not very fun, and certainly not a fact. That was BS, Kyle. I'm not buying it, not for a second. DarbyCast, WildCard Friday. Kyle and I were just talking about BS that's pervasive, and boy, we can point to a lot of different things that fall into that bucket. But what about something that's amazing and true, and not a lot of people know about it? Kyle, wouldn't that be something worth talking about? That was rhetorical. Here I go. We're getting into some folklore today, and the veterans, the DarbyCast doctors, love folklore. And we've explored quite a bit of it, mainly popular German folklore tales from the 1800s. But today, we're taking it back to France and Charles Perrault. The year 1697. The story, Bluebeard. Our most recent folklore exploration was the episode entitled Beast Mode, which was about Beauty and the Beast, and frankly, it was the greatest version ever told, according to some scholars. But Bluebeard, not well known on this side of the Atlantic. It's a tale about a rich fat cat who had a nasty habit. Boy, I'll tell you what. But I, Kyle, have modernized it and put some creative twists into it. If you're new to the podcast, take this opportunity to eject. Get out of here. If you don't have the capacity to enjoy something really exceptional, I feel bad for you, but you don't belong. This is not an inclusive space. Not at all. This is exclusive and mostly self-selecting. You got to look yourself in the mirror and say, am I the kind of person who likes to have a really good time? And if that's not you, get out. But let's get into this story of Bluebeard, or as they say in France, Barbe Bleue. I think I'm going a little too hard on that, Kyle. But let's get into Bluebeard. We're going to take it stateside for this retelling, okay? So, in the heart of New York City, where old money mixes seamlessly with new money and people who have terrible taste. Kyle, have you ever noticed that? That new money just gravitate towards the worst art and architecture. It's almost as if they don't have souls in a lot of ways. Just an observation. But there's a name in New York City that sends a shiver down the spines of many. And he's no corporate tycoon nor a mafia boss. But the name is Bluebeard, belonging to a man of immense wealth and equally immense mystery. And strangely enough, his moniker wasn't derived from any actual blue beard, but from the chilling aura that seemed to radiate from him, as cold and deep as the heart of the ocean. No, this was not some punk hipster with an electric blue beard and more piercings than anybody's really comfortable with. As a guy, why get piercings at all? Wake up, right? But that's not Bluebeard. He's just a creep. So the nouveau riche and the established elite who have pretty good taste, they whisper his name at cocktail parties with hushed voices as they munch on hors d'oeuvres, eating cheeses that you and I have probably never even heard of. And these fat cats are getting together, whispering about Bluebeard and his grand penthouse that overlooks Central Park. They talk about his trips to exotic destinations. But the thing that they're most curious about, these socialites with nothing better to do than gossip and do blow, these high-end parties are saying he's got a bunch of failed marriages. And to that we all say, well, why don't you just run your own race? Okay. This society of ours, are you kidding? That's not cool to talk about other people's misfortune. Leave it alone, right? But Bluebeard is a bit of an edge case because he's had multiple failed marriages. And nobody seems to know what went wrong or can really get in contact with these women and gossip with them and say, like, so what was his deal? Good guy, bad guy, skilled lover, not so much, as gals tend to do. Straight up and down the fairway was the thing, draw or a fade. You get what I'm saying. Not appropriate for the dinner table. But Bluebeard goes to parties, and the rest of the partygoers are just whispering about him all the time. And that's got to feel terrible. You ever walk past a group of people, acquaintances or friends, and hear your name mentioned, and then they all kind of elbow each other and say, shut up, shut up. He's coming. It doesn't feel good. I personally wouldn't know a thing about that, Kyle, because I am pretty cool, and I don't go to very many parties. You can be really cool and not go to parties. Kyle, never forget it. Different ways to be cool, especially in this world of ours. So many possibilities. I think you're cool for drinking milk every day. That has not gone unnoticed on my end, Kyle. Milk is good. Good job. But at one of these lavish parties, Bluebeard's gaze falls upon Anna, a young journalist known for her relentless pursuit of truth. She loves the truth. She loves it, Kyle. And that's why she turned down a job opportunity that was extended her way by the New York Times. She confronted them and said, "You are fake news. You're garbage. You have no integrity. I'm going to work with Project Veritas." I think. Maybe. I don't know. The guy's kind of weird who runs it. But he does break big stories. So I will, in fact, be formally rejecting this job offer. New York Times. So, high ethics, right? You don't see that in journalism that often anymore, Kyle. My goodness. But they're at this gala where Anna is chasing a story on politics, probably trying to unearth whatever's going on with Eric Adams, the New York City mayor, who is really blowing it. Anna wants to ask Eric Adams questions and say, why are our streets filled with so much crime, drugs, and illegal immigrants? And what are you planning on doing about any of it? Fair questions. Totally fair. But Bluebeard sees Anna and he's into it. And he approaches her. And what does he say, Kyle? What does he say to her?
I'm Bluebeard, but you can call me Lieutenant Thunderstrike. Actually, maybe you could just call me Finley, which is my given name. My apologies, but I'm a bit startled by your beauty, so I hope you can forgive me for acting so spectacularly retarded.
Rough start, strong finish, right, Kyle? Also, Bluebeard sounds suspiciously like Jeff Goldblum. Everybody was thinking it, but I'm just going to go ahead and call it out. The rest of the conversation flows pretty naturally. Anna appreciates Bluebeard's usage of the word retarded. Knows that he's not all the way bought in on self-censorship. Pretty cool guy, actually. At least on the surface. And despite whispered warnings from her colleagues and friends, Anna finds herself pretty fired up on Bluebeard. Bluebeard senses her attraction and invites her to a private dinner at his penthouse. And the allure of the enigmatic millionaire, combined with the potential of an exclusive scoop, proves a little too tempting for Anna to decline. What's the old saying, Kyle? That curiosity and cats like peas in a pod until the cat is murdered? I'm paraphrasing here, but you get it. On the night of the dinner, Anna is looking like an absolute feast. She's looking better than the dinner, which is really saying something. because Bluebeard has a private chef who exhibits so much professionalism, not just in the food, but he doesn't talk. He's not there to disrupt the space. He's there to enhance it. He's not going to recommend YouTube videos or talk about inappropriate subjects. He's there to cook. And he cooks a mean beef Wellington, one that's so delectable that if Gordon Ramsay had a bite, he'd jump off a bridge. It's that good. You ever had food that tasty, Kyle? That's like, life doesn't get any better than this. Plus, I feel humiliated, comparatively speaking. My cooking skills seem pretty pedestrian compared to this fella. I've never had that experience. But Gordon Ramsay, he would. Bluebeard's looking pretty clean cut. And they're dining on the balcony overlooking the city and having great conversations. And Bluebeard's asking all the right questions. He asks Anna, he says,
"What are your thoughts on what it might look like if you became the best version of yourself?" Take your time. That's a big question. Huge even. Huge to very huge. If that's too much to muster, maybe I just ease it in by asking, when's the last time you felt like you really made a difference? Feel free to feel that in whatever context you see fit, whether it be personal or professional. Hold that thought. Dinosaurs, life finds a way.
Guy is knocking it out of the park with these questions. But Anna wants to know a little bit about him and says, what's your deal? What's your relationship history? And he always changes the subject, pretty skillfully, actually. She says, tell me about your last relationship. And then he says,
I suppose I could, but I'd rather you. Tell me your thoughts on the game of golf.
KG, conversational gambit, right, Kyle? Night's drawn to a close, and then Bluebeard extends an invitation for Anna to stay a little bit longer, hinting at many secrets in his home. Kind of an odd thing to pitch. And he says,
here, take this. This black key card is made out of metal, and I want to encourage you to take a moment to look at how shiny it is. Now, you'll have full access to my place, this penthouse. Exciting stuff overall, but there's one door, one with a sapphire emblem, that you must never enter. For some things are better left untouched. Don't get preoccupied with whether or not you could, rather than stopping to think whether you should.
So cryptic, so enticing for a journalist, Kyle. And she's got keen instincts that have been honed over a brief career. Still a young gal, but she sifted through a lot of BS. A lot of politicians trying to give her the runaround. But Bluebeard's call out, rather than serving as a deterrent, it only intensifies her curiosity. What the heck's behind that door with the sapphire emblem? Bluebeard slips off, no doubt flying a helicopter. Guy's got to keep his mind free, right? We all need that as guys. Got to have a little me time. Sure, you got a gorgeous gal at your penthouse, but a helicopter? Are you kidding me? Sounds amazing. Especially if it's your own helicopter. No co-pilot mouthing off to you, saying, can we go over the checklist just one more time? Bluebeard, if you would. How old would that get, right? But Anna's got the penthouse to herself. And she's walking around and she is checking out paintings from renowned artists, rooms filled with relics and artifacts from around the world. This guy's old money. He's got good taste. No creepy paintings of vampires playing hacky sack with baby giraffes or whatever new money's doing with their coin. Not okay. But as Anna's venturing deeper into the penthouse, she's noticing a recurring theme. Portraits of beautiful women, each distinct, but sharing a striking resemblance in the eyes, in the eye department. A look of longing and of resignation. They're tired, even in paintings. And you would think that the artist would be able to fix that, but many an artist very true to their craft. Anna's sharp, though, and she realizes that these are Bluebeard's past wives, not even past girlfriends. They all got wedding rings on. And a chill runs down her spine as she ponders their fates. Bluebeard is off taking what many would qualify as the personal helicopter tour of a lifetime. And so Anna's still got time on her own. And where does she wander towards? That's right, the forbidden door with the sapphire emblem. Why would he give her the key card unless he wanted her to go in there, right? That's what we're all wondering. Dirty trick. She slides the key card, and the door opens to reveal a dimly lit room, and the air is heavy with a mix of musk and something metallic. Anna's eyes adjust a little bit to the light. She's got good vision, but we all know how the dark works. But once her eyes finally adjust, she lets out a gasp and a very soft, "Oh, fuck." The room is a pristine archive with meticulous records of Bluebeard's past relationships. And each wife has a dedicated section with letters, photos, trinkets, and at the end of each section, a vial of blood with a rose stuck in it. That's not what roses like. Roses like water. So we've got a botany crisis on our hands, but also foul play. This is a lot to handle. Anna decides to take a peek into the records, and it's just a mess, emotionally speaking. Very organized, but stories of manipulation, charm and flattery used for nefarious ends, and newspaper clippings highlighting mysterious disappearances of the women. A few moments ago, many of us would have been excited to accompany Bluebeard on a helicopter tour. But now, not so much. Not okay. Anna's heart begins racing as she hears footsteps. She's not alone in this penthouse. But as a journalist, high ethics journalist, she decides to snap photos of the room with her phone. She decides that she needs to expose all of this. Pretty stupid. In that situation, you just want to get the hell out of there. But there is something that we can all admire about her commitment to the truth, Kyle. As she's making her way to the exit, she has this odd perception whodunit, where earlier the penthouse seemed like a marvel of big whodunits left and right that were pretty cool, but now it feels like a trap. Every shadow seems menacing. Every echo of her heels on the floor seemed to betray her presence, and she's freaked out. Finally, she reaches the elevator, gets inside, and begins pressing the ground floor button frantically, starts spamming the ground floor button. And that's not how it works, right? All you need to do is press it once. Pressing it multiple times is not going to speed up the process. So for how amazing Anna is, we find out that she's not perfect. Pretty rookie way to operate an elevator. She's not an elevator whiz. But just as the doors are about to close, a hand stops him, and Bluebeard is standing there, and he has this look on his face that's both sinister and perverted, equal parts, which not a lot of people could pull off. But it's actually a pretty good look for him. Who knows? Maybe it's the suit. And the standoff is palpable. They are standing on sharp ground. And Anna summons all of her courage and speaks first and says, "I know your secret." What a dumbass. There was a chance that he didn't know that she knew. And now she just put all her cards on the table. Very, very stupid. Now let's take a quick time out. Ladies, you're probably never going to experience anything like this in your entire life. God forbid, right? But don't go to a guy's house if you don't know him that well. Okay? Don't put yourself in compromising situations. Don't have a bunch of drinks and then go back to some guy's place, because he might try to kill you. Keep that in mind. But Bluebeard's eyes are looking pretty dangerous. And he says,
You failed my test. If you hadn't gone in the room, that would have been an A+. If you had gone in the room and just been cool with everything, that also would have been acceptable. But you really blew it by acting so messed up towards me. You have violated my trust, and I am no longer attracted to you. You are a failure, and I find your lack of manners, pretty disgusting.
Now, nothing stings quite as bad as being rejected by a romantic partner, but this one's going to be okay. I don't think it was going to work out in the long term. But they're in the elevator together, and they're going down to the ground floor. And Anna feels defiant, and she's only got moments to act. So she says, hey, my editor knows where I am, which is a lie, but a nice thought. Bluebeard sees that she's lying. She's not a good liar at all. But out of nowhere, the elevator halts abruptly because Bluebeard hits the emergency stop. The lights start flickering, and Anna takes the opportunity and kicks Bluebeard where the sun don't shine. Anna's adrenaline going pretty nuts right now, and she rips the elevator doors open. Yay, women. Anna runs out of this hallway. And then rather than running down the emergency fire escape stairs, she runs up back to the penthouse because she thinks that's the last place that Bluebeard's going to look for her. A novel idea, but probably not the smartest. But we all can make ill-informed decisions when we're freaked out. Just look at COVID-19 and what that did to everybody. Wearing masks around? You ever see somebody just driving around in a car with a mask on by themselves? That didn't make any sense. But Anna makes it back up to the penthouse and sends a text message. Who does she send it to? Her brother, Kyle. The text says, penthouse, danger, Bluebeard. Very simple, not the most descriptive, but Kyle and Anna's father are in town. They are in New York City for a law enforcement symposium. Not as speakers, but as fans, attendees. They can't get enough of Back in the Blue. But Kyle receives the text from his sister and feels an icy dread. And within minutes, Kyle and Anna's father leave the conference, which is tough because they were given some mean PowerPoints. Anna sends her location to her brother, Kyle, and Kyle gives pretty strong directions in the car. Says, turn left, Dad. Now make another left. Good job, Kyle. Anna has barricaded herself in a room, but all of a sudden, Bluebeard's on the scene, and his voice is echoing through the marble halls, and he's saying some pretty creepy stuff. He says,
I'm going to find you, tie you up, and then we'll watch 4 to 7 episodes of Rachel Maddow, which I have recorded on my DVR. After that, I'm going to do violence to you until you're dead.
Talk about a nightmare scenario. What's worse, right? Part A of that or part B. But out of nowhere, the penthouse's grand entrance door splinters open. Anna's father, a tall figure with graying hair but eyes sharp as a hawk, storms in. wielding a hunting knife that says NYPD on it. Nice little souvenir. Close behind, Kyle is brandishing a baseball bat and a Bluetooth speaker. And he puts on a song. That's what you do, Kyle. You put on a song, and it freaks Bluebeard out. What's that song? And for copyright and intellectual property reasons, let's consider this a critical review of the song. It's amazing. But Kyle puts on a song. And then in unison, Kyle and Kyle's dad begin singing. What a family dynamic, right? Bluebeard knows he's screwed, and Kyle just starts wailing on him. Breaks his legs in a big way, as Anna's father knifes Bluebeard repeatedly. You don't mess with someone's daughter, you don't mess with someone's sister. Bluebeard is smashed into a bloody pulp, and we can consider this a huge win for Patriarchy, right? A dad doing a good job, but also Kyle. Huge win for the Patriarchy. Kyle and Kyle's dad using the knowledge that they gained at the police seminar, clean up the crime scene, and then put the bat and the knife in Bluebeard's hands, topping it all off by placing a letter on his chest, making the whole thing appear like a suicide. Kyle, Anna, and their dad walk down the stairs, and Kyle remarks to his father and says, "Women in the workplace cause so much trouble." Anna says, "If it weren't for my journalistic background and pursuing a career like this, I never would have found myself in such a precarious situation. I quit." The end. Beautiful story, right? Lot of messages there. I could get into a lengthy discussion about themes and hidden meaning in this story, but I don't want to rob you of that experience. So after this episode's over and you send it to a couple people, just take a little time to reflect on how incredible this story was. This is going to do you a whole lot better than knowing that people eat 8 spiders a year, which isn't even fucking true. But that's DarbyCast, that's WildCard Friday.